Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, then welcome. My name is Christina, and on my channel we talk all things beauty from my own experiences. So before you go, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave any comments that you have for me down below. In the recent months, you guys have been really enjoying my base makeup. So for today's video, I thought that I would show you guys my everyday makeup routine. This is essentially what I do whenever I need to put makeup on. Now, some of these products do change, especially when I'm testing out new products, but for the most part, this is the exact process that I do. I do want to start off by saying that I always go in with a very good, sort of extensive skincare routine. So I think that in order to get a really good makeup look, I always go in with a good skincare routine. That is number one. You want to make sure that your skin is prepped and healthy. So if you guys want to see a video where I talk about like skin prep when it comes to makeup, then let me know in the comments down below. But we are going to be doing my whole makeup routine. So if this is something that interests you, then let's get started. To start off, I do use a primer, and I really like this one from Cali Ray. It's a So Blown Clean Blurring Primer. When I picked this up initially, I didn't think that it was going to be this much of a staple in my routine. I just thought that I would try it out and see how I felt about it. I think it does really well on my skin. It blurs my pores, and it kind of gives me an even canvas without overly mattifying the skin, but also not giving me too much dew. It kind of just gives me a soft focus before I go in with my other products. It does have a little bit of like a silicone feel, but it's not too much. This one almost feels a little bit creamy, but also a little silicone-like. And I'll just spread this in and kind of pat it in because I feel like it pushes it into my pores a little bit better. And this is not going to be super mattifying throughout the day, but I do find that when I use this, it adds just a little bit of longevity to my complexion. For lip prep, I always use some sort of lip balm, and recently I have been loving this Ole Henriksen. This is the Pout Preserve Peptide Lip Treatment. This is just the original. They recently came out with 3 new shades. I have 2 of the 3 like new shades. All the formulas are the same. It's nice and thick. It almost feels like a sleeping mask. It's slick, but it still feels really nourishing and thick on the lips. And I'm less likely to get dry, flaky lips whenever I have this in my routine. It also smells like an orange creamsicle, so I like that a lot. By the way, do you guys like my nails? These are just press-ons from Kiss. I actually hate the way that I applied them. This hand right here has so many bubbles. I tend to have a very flat nail bed, so very curved press-ons just don't really work well for me, but I had you guys decide between 3 different press-ons on my Instagram, and I did a little poll on my story, so that was really fun. If you guys don't follow me there, follow me if you want to like be included in these little polls and stuff and just see what I'm up to when I'm not on YouTube. I do want to preface and let you guys know that sometimes I will just spot conceal. I've gotten to a point where for the most part I feel very comfortable with the way that my skin texture and the look of my skin is currently. So sometimes I will just spot conceal, but when I say spot conceal, it's essentially using a concealer for my whole face. I don't really just go into my hyperpigmentation, blend that out, and leave the rest of the face. I do like to pretty much cover the whole face. So I kind of treat it like a foundation. And in order to do that, recently I've been really loving to use the new Fenty We're Even Hydrating Concealers. I find that it gives me a really nice dewiness to the skin, but also covers up my hyperpigmentation, my acne scarring, and my uneven skin tone really nicely. And the 2 concealers that I'll be using for this video, the Kulfi concealer and the Hourglass concealer, I also love using these to spot conceal my entire face. But usually what I'll do is go in with some sort of skin tint or foundation, and the 2 that I decided to show you guys because I feel like they're the 2 that I've been using the most for everyday wear. The Maybelline Super Stay Skin Tint. This is the shade 220. This is a really good match for me, and I really enjoy the way that this looks on the skin. It adds a little bit of hydration, but it's not too hydrating to where I look greasy. Sometimes I can go with just spot powdering the face versus powdering the entire face because it kind of dries down a little bit better versus other skin tints like the L'Oreal one, and more than this one. I've talked about this in my recent video, just talking about products that I think should have gone viral, and because I have a full video dedicated to this one as well as comparing it to the L'Oreal one, I am going to be using the Ciel Tint and Protect today. Actually, before we do that, I totally forgot I want to color correct with my Bobbi Brown Peach Color Corrector. This one I use so often. As you can see, I have hit pan on this and it's such a good color corrector. I have a lot of acne scarring which has caused hyperpigmentation, and this covers it up so flawlessly. I like to concentrate that pigment right on the spot that I need it to cover, and then I will rely on my concealer and whatever foundation I use to kind of blend it out with it. This is my favorite color corrector because of the consistency. It is a little bit more tacky, a little bit more thick compared to other color correctors that are kind of like more liquid form. This one in the pot is definitely a little bit, I want to say, thicker and drier, which works great for the way that I like to use it, which is under my complexion products. I don't feel like it just blends out into nothing. All right, now we're going in with the skin tint, and if you guys want to see me talk about why I love this skin tint, go watch that video, the products that I thought should go viral. It is first and foremost a sunscreen, and I love a good sunscreen. So I will just do 1 to 2 drops on either side of my face, and I like to start off with blending it in with my fingers. I feel like it really melts it into the skin. If you wanted to, you could just blend this out completely with your fingertips. I like to go in and further blend it with a brush just because I feel like it gives me an even better blend. I am in the shade 07 Tan currently. I do have 08 also. That's the color that I first picked up when I first got this back in the summer last year. But since then I picked this up because I just wanted to wear it so badly. This does not dry down too quickly. You have a lot of time to work with it. I feel like it doesn't completely dry down ever. It still has a lot of good hydration, a lot of good moisture to it. It has incredible coverage if you're thinking of this like a tinted sunscreen, or if you're even thinking of it as a skin tint. And then I'm going to use a BK 106 brush to just buff and blend the remainder of that product just to make sure I don't have any streakiness and everything just looks as natural as possible. And I do like to take this down my neck as well. Here's what the face is looking like after we do that skin tint. I don't go in with too much because I do like to rely on my concealers to kind of get the rest of my hyperpigmentation. The less skin tint or foundation that I use, the more natural my skin will look, and the less likely my skin will be to getting super oily. I find that for me, when I wear a lot of foundation, it kind of like triggers my skin into wanting to produce even more oil. I don't know if you guys experience that as well, but that's just something that I have kind of become more attuned to. Like I mentioned, the 2 concealers that I have been using a lot recently are the Kulfi concealer as well as the Hourglass one. The Kulfi one I really enjoy using all over my face as well as under my eyes. And the Hourglass one I think does really well on my entire face, but especially under my eyes. And this one is just a little brighter than my skin is. So I'm going to be using this under my eyes today. This is in the shade Sienna, and then I have this Kulfi one in the shade Mango Drop. I'm probably like halfway down the bottle here. I love this concealer. The consistency is incredible. The shade match almost blends right into my skin once we like blend it out. But I'm gonna use this to further cover my hyperpigmentation and my acne scarring, and also these like darker areas on my skin that I want to brighten a little bit but not too much. I will use this concealer for. And I like to use the concealer right in the hollows of my cheeks too, because whenever I use contour and bronzer, sometimes I find that it can take away some of the coverage that I have going on there. So in order to kind of add an extra layer of coverage, I'll do concealer. To blend that out, I am going to be using a BK and Angie Hot and Flashy brush, the A506. This is my go-to concealer brush. It blends my concealer flawlessly. I love it, and it's very precise too, so it can pinpoint all the areas that I want it to, and it just blends it out exactly where I need that concealer to be. If you were to get any brush from BK, make it this one, the A506. I seriously use this every time I do my makeup. And when I blend out my concealer, I kind of do a buffing motion, but I also swipe it. But the pressure that I use is very, very light. That is pretty much blended. There's still some areas that need a little bit of blending, but before we do that, I'm gonna go in with the Hourglass concealer. And again, this is in the shade Sienna, and I'm gonna use use this just to slightly brighten up some areas of my face. So I like to do it right there, a little bit in the corners where I have some darkness. I'm gonna do the chin and then sculpt right by the lips just to give the illusion of more sculpted cheekbones. And then I'll also do that same thing here. I used to just take a line and drag it. I find that I don't necessarily have to do that. Like I can just do this and that's enough coverage or enough brightness to give me that same illusion with less product. And I'm just gonna wipe away the concealer that's on my brush, and then we're just gonna blend that out. You can wait a couple minutes to let this kind of dry down if you want to, but I find that the Hourglass consistency is more dry than the Kulfi one anyways, so I don't wait too long to blend it out. I feel like it blends beautifully and still gives me a really good amount of coverage this way. And then I like to blend this corner up to add a little bit of lift to the eyes. And then I'll blend this kind of across and then down along the nose and connect to right here, right by my nose where I do get a little bit of redness. Oh, I also want to do a little in between the eyebrows. Not necessarily for coverage, just for a little bit of brightness. All right, complexion is looking good so far. I'm gonna kind of let this set down and dry a little bit more, and we're just gonna go in and work on the brows. The only things I've been using in my brows for the last 3 to 5 months have been these two products. This is the Rare Beauty Flexible Brow Gel and the Kosas Brow Pop Nano. This is a tiny detailer pencil. This is incredible to get in between your eyebrows, not drawing onto your actual eyebrow hairs. It is so thin that it can get the skin right in between there. So I like to go in and either go in with the pencil and then brush in the brow gel, or I'll go in with the brow gel and then go in with a pencil. For a long time, I was just doing the brow gel and then filling in. So I think I'll go ahead and do that today. I am almost out of this brow gel, but luckily I picked up a backup because I liked it that much. So I'll just kind of brush it into the brows first, and then I'll shape them in place. I'm not great at doing my brows. I feel like my brows are very lackluster, to be honest, and I've had people ask me to do like a brow routine, and I've never felt comfortable doing it because I don't feel like I'm very good at doing them. So if you've ever asked for a brow routine, here it is. It's literally just these two products. I've tried a laminated look, doesn't look great on me, and I have stuck to a feathery look. Typically, I'll go in with my brows first before doing any of the rest of my makeup. I didn't do that today, and I am now paying for it because it's like balling up. The skin tint and the concealer is balling up into my brows. So that's kind of annoying. So let me clean that up real quick. Now I'm just gonna fill in all of those sparse areas, like at the front of my brow, at the bottoms right here, and then a little bit on the tail just to shape it up a little. I have the shade Brown Black, by the way. I think that is pretty decent. We'll mess around with it if I find that I want to do a little more later. I feel like I have a lot of bronzers that I'm constantly like playing around with or wanting to use, just kind of craving to use different products, you know, but I will always use a cream or liquid type of bronzer. And the ones that I have been really liking recently, first of all, I have been testing out the Milani Cheek Kiss cream bronzers. I tried this out in a recent video in a different shade. I just got the shade 120 Spilling Tea. This is for light medium skin tones, and I picked this one up because I had an idea that it was going to be similar to my holy grail. This is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade medium. This is one that I use a lot, especially for everyday makeup routines. It's very nice and lightweight on the skin, but it does give you a ton of pigmentation. And I've also been using the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sun Kiss Glow Bronzer in the shade medium. This one's high pigmentation, but it does tend to be a little bit more on the drier side when it comes to creams, which is perfect for those that have oily skin type because it does last on the skin a little bit longer when it comes to a cream type of product. So if you do have oily skin type, but you do want to use a bronzer that is cream, try the Charlotte Tilbury one out. It is quite expensive. So if you can get it on sale, I would recommend it then. But even if you get it full priced, I have barely made a dent in this. I have definitely had this for quite a long time and I've barely made a dent into it. I mean, this is a regular size pan and then this is the Charlotte Tilbury one. It's insanely giant. And for a stick cream, I've been really enjoying this Westman Atelier one. This is just like the mini one that they started selling at Sephora. This is in the shade Truffle. I really enjoy the tone of this one. It's definitely right in the middle of a contour and a bronzer. Blends out beautifully and it does have a little bit more of a drier consistency, just like the Charlotte Tilbury one is. However, this one is slightly more creamy in my opinion. Let me go ahead and swatch all of them for you. So here's the Makeup by Mario one. This is Milani. This is Charlotte Tilbury and this is Westman Atelier. They all definitely help me achieve the look that I go for when it comes to an everyday makeup routine. And no matter what cream or liquid bronzer I use, I always top it with a powder bronzer just to get that extra longevity. And this one from Benefit, the Hoola Caramel, specifically the caramel shade, is my favorite one. I find that it adds just a bit of warmth and it doesn't really compete with the skin tone. And sometimes I felt like the regular Hoola made me look too muddy, while this one does have a little bit of warmth to it, so it looks a little bit more natural on the skin. I can't even really swatch it on there. Hopefully you can see that. I have like all of my bronzers just staining the back of my hand right now. Today I'm going to use the Milani Cheek Kiss one because I've been trying to test this one out a little bit more. Using a BK 109 brush, it's just a smaller like paw brush here. The last month or so I've been applying my bronzer a little bit higher on my cheeks. Before that I was doing it like right on the hollows, like right down here. But I saw somewhere that if you want your cheekbone to look higher and a little bit more snatched, I guess, then pull it up. If you have a face shape like mine, then it would be helpful for that. So I've been testing that and I've done it in the last couple videos and I think that it looks really good. So I'm just gonna do that in today's video. I'm really just putting it exactly where I would put my blush and then a little bit lower. So essentially I'm trying to like lift my face because I do have quite a flat, not very angular face. And I think this helps it. I think this shade is just truly going to be a bronzer versus a contour. It's just gonna add warmth versus giving me a shadow on the face. And then a little down the jawline, not really to contour again, but just to add some warmth and some contrast between here and here. And just to add some more contour on the jawline, I am going to take that Westman Atelier one on the jaw right here and blend that out. Very, very lightly blending it. And at the very edge of that bronzer, I'm going to add a little bit more just to do a tiny bit of contouring. Like barely anything. And just like the bronzer, I always go in with a cream or liquid blush. Sometimes I will layer it with a powder, sometimes I'll just leave it like that. And today we're going to be using this Nude Sticks one. I've been really enjoying this shade. This is in the shade Sunset Rose. I did do a short video on this on YouTube Shorts, as well as a reel and a TikTok. So again, follow me there if you guys don't already, so you can get like the little bite-sized reviews. But this has definitely been a very nice surprise for me. I really enjoy the way that this looks on the skin. I'm going to use this e.l.f. Putty Blush. This is something that changes up in my routine a lot because I find that I'm always trying out new blushes these days. This may vary in color, but this is definitely still a process in my routine. And I have an idea that this one would work so well by itself, and it does have an SPF of 30 to it. Now, I will always use a separate sunscreen by itself before I do my makeup, but like being able to have a little sunscreen in my makeup as well, I like it. And I just bring it a little bit on my temple and slowly diffuse it out into like nothing up here. Next, we're gonna set the face. This is a must with my oily skin type. There's never a time that I don't set the face, unless I'm trying to test out longevity of like a foundation or concealer or whatever that says it's self-setting. For the most part, always gonna set my face, and today we are gonna be using my tried and true Oma Trip and Smooth powder. This was a recommendation from someone in my comments a while back, and thank you to that person because this is the best powder ever. This is just the translucent shade. I'm just gonna go in with my brush, my concealer brush, and just blend out any areas that may have creased. And I'm using this BK and Nikki LaRose N14 brush, really packing it on. I kind of bake with this powder. And I'm just going to tap it and just watch how it smooths and airbrushes the skin. Do you see how smooth and even it like set the face down? It adds no color. It is truly a translucent powder for me. It adds just enough mattifying finish to the skin without looking heavy, you know, like that. Gorgeous. I love that. And I won't usually go on top of my cream bronzer and blush just yet. Like I'll kind of hit the edges of it. If I'm only using this powder, then I will lightly dust on top of my bronzer and blush. But today I'm going to be baking a little bit with another powder. And I take my time when I set my face because I find sometimes it can move all of the liquids on my face, like it'll move it around kind of funny, and I'll have like splotchy makeup after that. So I'm very, very careful. I like to tap as much as I can, and then I'll lightly like brush it away, you know? And I actually don't really set my nose. I like the shine that I have on my nose. I feel like it kind of makes my makeup look a little more natural if you can see a bit of shine. And now we're gonna go in with this Huda Beauty Peach Pie Loose Powder. I just have the mini. I'm gonna take the cap of the Omo Beauty powder and then just a little triangle puff here. And I'm gonna use this to lightly bake the face. I do like to do a little bit of a bake even on an everyday basis. I just feel like it adds a little extra brightness, a little extra put togetherness, if you will. So I'll do a really messy under the eye bake, and then most importantly, I like to kind of sculpt this area. Whatever's left on my puff, I will just pat it into the top of my forehead. And then with a clean brush, nothing on it, we are just going to further blend in all that powder and wipe away the bake. But I'm going to wipe it away and kind of hit like the bronzer and the blush here. Just tap it in there. And using a really, really soft hand, like you can see, it's barely moving the bristles there. Like I'm not smashing it onto the face like that. Like very, very lightly dusting everything away. And now is the time I will go in with this powder bronzer, and I'm using this BK Beauty 111 brush. As you can tell, I love my BK Beauty brushes. They're incredible. I do have a discount code for you guys. It's not an affiliate code, but I do have an affiliate link, and I'll link that in the description box down below in case you guys want to use it to pick up some really amazing brushes. But I'm just gonna dust this all over the areas that I put that cream bronzer. I feel like bronzer is the one thing that I can easily mess up. Like it can get splotchy so fast no matter what bronzer I use. I just feel like I always apply it and it like will look splotchy, especially in this area where I have a weird patch of skin. I always talk about that, but it just never wants to hold on to product. Warm up the jawline too. And it's important to wipe away any excess bake because sometimes if I go on top of the bake with my bronzer, it will definitely get splotchy on top of it because it's not evenly sitting on top of the skin, because the baking powder may be a little thicker in some areas, so it doesn't really catch onto the actual skin very well. So make sure that you do dust off as much bake as possible if you do end up baking. I'm going to add a little bit more blush on top because we did lose a good amount of that pigmentation. So doing the same thing that I did earlier. Definitely not using as much, just using a very tiny bit. And for the eyes, sometimes I will go in with eyeshadow. Other times I'll go in with just this bronzer right here through my crease and then mascara. Or I'll do like a one and done eyeshadow look. Check out my last video. That one was my one and done favorite eyeshadows. Almost always I will go in with just pencil liner, brown pencil eyeliner. And this one is my favorite, Makeup by Mario. This is the perfect brown. And I'll just go in and do a little wing and just brush it out with the tip right here. I cannot believe how much I've used this pencil liner. It's so impressive. Before this product, I never ever touched pencil eyeliner. It just never worked for me. And this is my tried and true holy grail, lasts forever, doesn't smear. I'll just extend that bottom lash line right there, do a big glob almost, and then take the other end and literally just brush it away. And look at that, incredible. And then I'll brush it towards my lash line, smoke it out a little bit. And then once we put the mascara on, it's not gonna look as intense, but that's literally all I do. It's the best. Oh, I also forgot to mention, I like to tight line with this too, so I'll just drag it on my tight line just to make it look like my lashes are even more thick. My go-to lash curler is the Shiseido one, and my go-to mascara is this one. This is the Heroin Make Long & Curl mascara. This is the advanced film version. I love this Asian mascara because my eyelashes do grow downwards. They don't want to hold a curl even if I use just a regular waterproof mascara. This was my go-to combination for a really long time, the Maybelline Full and Soft Waterproof with the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Mascara. These are great Western brands, but I've since simplified it to just this routine. Holds my curl all day, does not budge, does not smear. I just curl my lashes, curl the entire length of them. This does have fibers in it too, so it kind of helps to lengthen the lashes and thicken them up. Asian mascaras are seriously the only ones that will hold my curl all day long. And lastly, for my lip color. So I will always go in with a lip liner, and recently I will use any sort of glossy lip color, whether it be a lip oil, a lip gloss, or like a glossy stain of some sort. And today I'm going to be showing you guys this one. This is from the brand Clio, another Asian makeup brand. It's their Crystal Glam tint, and it's in the shade Modern Coral Beige. When you first apply it, it does look quite light, quite nude, but as you like blend it into the lips, I'll just show you guys, it is the most incredible everyday sort of nudie, sort of brown shade. For my lip liners, I'm going to show you guys 3 that I've been really enjoying. This one, Makeup Forever, in the shade Anywhere Caffeine. It goes with pretty much any lip color that I want to use for an everyday type of look, because I do tend to go more browny, pinky tone, a little bit nude. So this will add just a little dimension to my lips and really help me shape them. Milani Spice is another really nice shade, but this one definitely has more pink tones to it. So it'll add a little bit of color as well as definition. And then this Hourglass one in the shade Uncover 4. It's kind of like in between these 2 shades. So it gives me a little bit of color, a little bit of like natural definition. Sometimes I'll mix them together. Maybe I'll show you guys that. Let me just sharpen them because I didn't realize how dull they are. My lips are actually really uneven on these sides right here, so I like to just kind of round them out and even them out. Just kind of drag it on the corners here, and then on my Cupid's bow and the bottom of my lower lip, I'm just going to draw a little bit of this Milani Spice to add a little bit more dimension. All right, and then going in with this Clio glossy stain. Like I said, it does go on very light, but I find with a lot of Korean glossy tints and Japanese glossy tints, once they sit on the lips for a little bit and as you're blending it in, it gets darker. And this lasts so long on the lips and it leaves a little bit of a stain. Beautiful, right? It's gorgeous. It's not too warm and it's also not cool to where it like washes me out. It's the perfect amount of color for every day. I just love it so much. To set the face, it depends on how much or how long I want to wear this makeup. So if I want to wear it all day, I will combine these 2. I'll go in with the Milk Makeup Setting Spray, let that dry, and then set that down with the one size, or I'll just go in with one or the other. Recently, I've been doing this combination and it's been lasting really nicely, so I'm gonna do that today. Whenever I want to like touch up the makeup, if I'm finding that I'm really oily throughout the day, I will go in with my Kosas Cloud Set in the shade Comfy. This is just a mini one. I'll just take the same BK Nikki LaRose N14 brush, swirl it in there, and just like tap in anywhere I need to kind of combat that oil. Or I'll use the Fenty Beauty blotting one, the translucent one. I really like that one as well. Tap it in anywhere that I feel like I'm looking a little bit too oily, you know, which is usually right in these areas or like my forehead. That is everything that I do on an everyday basis. I know that it was a lot of steps, a lot of products, but honestly, that is what I do as someone that, you know, wears makeup and plays with makeup for a living. And I did mean to talk about this while I was filming, but I completely forgot because I got really into like talking about my routine. But as you guys can kind of tell with my content, my channel is kind of taking a little bit of pivot, a little bit of a turn to different concepts. So before, I feel like I was doing a lot of new releases, a lot of just strictly collection swatches. So I do still plan on reviewing new products, doing wear tests, doing full full collection swatches, but maybe not full collection. Makeup these days is expensive, guys. So if you guys didn't know, I did recently go full-time with content creation, and because of that, I don't have supplemental income from like a full-time 9-to-5 job, you know? So I do kind of have to get a little bit more creative with the type of content, which is totally fine for me because I have been wanting to kind of cover different types of topics and just talk more about products I already own, kind of talk about like things I love or things that I think should go viral. So let me know in the comments down below the type of videos that you guys like, whether they're like shop my stash, empties videos like I've been doing, favorites videos, just different concept type of things. Let me know in the comments down below what you want to see. I definitely have a good list already curated that I'm planning on filming for you guys. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Hopefully you guys stick around. Hopefully you like the type of content that I'm going to be putting out. And that's everything, I guess, for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video and if you found it helpful, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.